We're looking at January for New Teacher Academy, January 8th at the Moore Norman Tech Center at the South Penn campus. I'll send you directions and address for that along with an agenda later on. I want to go over the curriculum briefly with you and give you some highlights within there. I encourage you to look through the slides. Look in the slides at the bottom. I have notes written in there of things that I've printed out for you and possible ways to do things, so you can read through those as you go through your slides and work on them and try to build your presentation with that. We will start with lesson 1.2 with the mission. And by the way, it's in January, but I'm filming this in December. Merry Christmas. So with that, we'll start out with the mission of CTE. And within this, it has several activities dealing with looking at other people's thoughts of doing those, but then it gets down to the participants creating their own using a 20-word mission statement, and this can be done with a variety of things, and this could be something that you'd encourage them to do within their own classroom when they're trying to come up with descriptions of different things and narrow it down to a short description of something. There's also a field activity in this. There's field activities in several of these lessons. I would encourage you to challenge them to take those field activities back and apply them in their class, and then turn around and share that information back with their colleagues around them and with their mentors back in the school. Lesson 2.1, looking at the big picture of instructional planning. They've had a year now, not quite a year, half a year, but they should be starting to look towards how they're going to do it the next time as they come around, and planning things for the next year and be looking at that planning. Within this area, you're going to do the overview of course syllabus, curriculum map, unit plan, and lesson plan. Now, you're not going to get down to the nuts and bolts of how to do them, but you're going to kind of talk about what they are, why we have them, and why they're important. Not that it's just chewing up our time and doing paperwork, but how do those fit into everything that we do and make things work together? How do we use them and make them work together to make our lives better, so that we can do planning, do different things, as well as use that for other things as far as looking towards buying equipment, applying for grants and doing different things with there. There's another field activity with this one. It's a mentor dialogue. The first one was an administrator dialogue, and in those field activities, once again, challenge them to work with their mentor or work with their administrator to complete those activities. Lesson 3.1. With this one, we're starting to look at the framework for what they teach, and within this, you're gonna take them to the career tech, or the Common Core Technical Core, Common Career Technical Core Standards, and you'll take them to that website. There is a handout that I've printed out for them that they can use with the activities, but you need to show them where those things are and how that they can apply that in what they're doing and in their big picture planning of doing things. Lesson 3.2, industry specific knowledge and skills. With this one, they're going to have to go to the State Department website, and I've given you directions on how to get to that within the slides themselves. If you need more information, you can feel free to contact me. This lesson and the other two lessons after it all have part 1 and part 2. Because you're covering a lot of stuff and doing a lot of activities with them, you may not get to part 2. So be prepared for that. And in the back of your mind, if you're going into part 2, you may go ahead and plan to do it, but in the back of your minds have a thing that you have to look at the clock to know that you've got time to do activity 2 and still get to the other lessons. So you may leave the part 2 of these lessons out just because of time. So keep that in mind while you're doing your planning and working on these things here. Within this one, they're going to go to the website and look at the state standards and what those standards are and what they're called now, because the name has changed again. In lesson 3.3, we're going to look at the academic skills and knowledge, and in this one they will go to the State Department's website. Last one they went into the to the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technical website. On this one, they're going to go to the State Department of Education and look at their academic standards and kind of compare how our standards meet their standards. Once again, this one has a part 1 and 2. Be careful with the part 2. Make sure you have enough time. Although within the part 2, there are 2 activities which, even if you can't do them or don't have time for them, they're nice activities that they might want to use within their class. One's an anticipation guide, the other one's a treasure hunt. Ways to deal with reading and to make textbook work a little more exciting in what they're doing with both the anticipation guide and with the treasure hunt. So keep that in mind as you're doing this lesson and working with it. And then the last lesson is lesson 3.4, 21st century skills. And with this one, you're going to go to several websites and you're going to give them a lot of information and places to go. As far as looking up the 21st century skills, these are things that they should be working with within their classrooms and have in their lesson plans, and be trying to implement these things within their class. There are 2 activities. There's an authentic task in this one and an couple of activities. The authentic task would be something they'd have to do in their own classroom. Once again, challenge them to do those in their classroom and then get with their mentors and discuss how those things went back at their home school. And then there is a part 2 activity which you may not get to. Now, in some of these part 2 activities, it requires them to have a computer. You won't have everybody bringing computers. So on some of those, for the part 1s, I've printed out materials that they can use, and I'll have that printed off. I will send you a list of what I'm going to be printing. If you find that there's other things, especially when you get to the course syllabus, lesson plans, and those type things, if you want something printed out for them to see, then you need to send that to me and I'll get that printed out for you. Or anything else that you find that you'd like to have printed out for them to pass out, let me know. But I will send you a list of what I am printing along with the participants guide, which are several articles and things. But I will have those, a list of those for you. You'll also have a copy of them so that you can look at them and see what they're working with for the activities, so you can do your planning. If you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, I will see you at Moore Norman on January 8th, South Penn campus. Thanks.